So the IDP3 vacuum pump is a dry scroll pump, and the sealing mechanism for the scrolls are the tip seals. These are the things that wear, and the areas that the tip seals seal builds up with some of the effluent that comes off the process, and so it needs to be cleaned, and the tip seals need to be cleaned. This is how we do that. First of all, one of the things that helps keep the pump clean is to use the gas ballast, which this bolt here, when it's sealed, means the gas ballast is closed. We want it to be open. The pump is shipped with this little fitting that has a filter and allows air to flow into the pump to increase the pressure of compression in the last stroke of the pump to keep the pump hot and to keep those solids in gaseous suspension. To do that, we take this plug out and replace it with the gas ballast plug here. This is how your pump should look when you're operating the pump under process. To take the pump apart, we do remove this piece and set it aside. We then take the pump and set it on end. And we take a 4mm Allen wrench and remove the 4 screws that hold the motor cowling and housing in place. The motor cowling comes off, and we remove the connection for the wires to run the fan. We pull those apart and set the fan housing aside. Then we use the same 4mm wrench to undo the 4 hex bolts that hold the scroll housing onto the pump. The stationary scroll is housed in this. We take this off. The screws will come out when you set it upside down. Set them aside. And here is the stationary scroll. You can see all the debris that's built up inside. You can see all of the debris that's built up inside at the root and on the walls. That is preventing your pump from reaching its full base pressure. The same is shown here on the orbiting scroll. All of this debris is from the process. It comes into the pump in gaseous phase and solidifies as it's compressed to the center of the pump. The tip seals are these golden colored scrolls here, the single start tip seal, one on this orbiting and one on the stationary side. To remove these, we'll take a small screwdriver and carefully, without scratching the metal, remove the tip seal, prying it up out of its groove and removing it from the scroll. And we'll set that aside, noting that this is the one from the orbiting side. We'll do the same with the stationary. We'll then clean using grain neutral spirits, also known as Everclear, also known as White Lightning, as a solvent to remove the built-up terpenes that have solidified in the pump. Using a lint-free cloth and a wooden dowel, insert the dowel with the cloth into the scroll roots and clean the large amount of debris. The majority of the time in rebuilding this pump is going to be spent in getting this debris that's been impacted and kind of baked onto the sides and bottom of the scrolls, getting that out and cleaning the pump. Sometimes you need to use a little bit of elbow grease in order to get it all out. The more time you spend cleaning the pump, the better results you'll have when you put the pump back together and start it operating again. After you've gotten the majority of the built-up debris out, then we use a piece of Scotch-Brite to use that and to scour the sides of the pump of the scrolls to get the built-up terpenes off the sides of the root of the pump. May need to add a little bit more solvent. Let it soak for a bit. And then go back in with your Scotch-Brite. We'll do the same thing to the stationary scroll set. So once we have the bottoms of the scroll grooves cleaned, then we want to clear the areas up here in the area where the tip seal resides. And we'll do the same thing again, a small screwdriver, a small dowel, something that does not get in and scratch the metal, but that we get this area clean so that the tip seal can ride all the way down and have a good smooth sheet. And we of course do the same for the orbiting side of the scrolls. Now we'll take our dust-free cloth, some more of our solvent, and use that to clean out any debris. Once we've cleaned that out, we'll take some canned air and blow out. Once we finish cleaning with the grain neutral spirits, we'll remove any residues created by the grain neutral spirits by doing another clean with isopropyl alcohol. Again, our lint-free cloth. and blow out the excess. After we remove the O-ring, we use the IPA to clean off the O-ring and then set that aside. At this point, you probably want to set the pump aside for about a half an hour to let the evaporation of the alcohol take place, so you now start to reassemble the pump when it's dry. Before we start to reinstall the tip seals, we want to clean them as well. So take your wet, lint-free cloth and wipe the tip seals clean. As you get them clean, you'll feel lessening of the resistance to sliding it through the cloth as the debris is removed. Two or three passes, you should have them pretty well cleaned. You can see the amount of debris that's being removed from those tip seals. Starting at the center, press the tip seal into the groove, leaving a little space at the end for thermal expansion, about that much. And then you rotate the seal in and push it into the groove with your thumbs. We've now got a little bit extra here, so taking a knife, we'll cut that off so we leave a little bit of room for thermal expansion. Now we'll do the same with the orbiting scroll. You see we have about 1/8 of an inch at both ends to allow for growth under thermal expansion. Now, before we reassemble the pump, we'll reinstall the O-ring into its groove. Making sure it's completely in so that when we reassemble the pump, the O-ring does not get cut. You'll see the locating pins here and here will go into these holes here and here. The exhaust fitting of the pump will be on the bottom. Now we'll reinsert the 4 hex bolts. Put the cowling back on. First, we reconnect our fan. Making sure the fan wire is clear of the exhaust port. Slip the cowling back on and we'll tighten back up our screws. Now we just have to reinsert our gas ballast fitting. And the pump is ready to operate.